Hello viewers, welcome to online course on Mathematics 3. This course basically for undergraduate student or BTech student of engineering field. Today we are going to discuss about the one-dimensional heat equation, and this part is on the partial differential equation, and this is my second lecture on partial differential equation and the series solution of ordinary differential equation of Mathematics 3. Myself Sanjay Vishwas, Assistant Professor of Mathematics, Department of Applied Science and Humanities of Guru Nanak Institute of Technology. Here is my details of contact information. If you have facing any kind of problem regarding my online class, you can call me or send message through my mail ID sanjay.vishwas@gnit.ac.in. So before we start today's lecture, let's quickly recall in the last lecture. So in the last lecture, we have discussed about the basic concept of partial differential equation. Okay, so it's the first lecture on partial differential equation, or the module 4 of Mathematics 3. So in this lecture, we have discussed about the introduction of partial differential equation. Okay, so after that we have talked about the introduction to different method of solution of partial differential equations. So there are so many methods for finding the partial differential equation. So among these, the separation of variables method is the most suitable method for solving the partial differential equation. So after that we have talked about the separation of variables. Okay, and then we have discussed about the one-dimensional wave equation also. Okay, so and how to solve the wave equation by using the separation of variables method. And then we have discussed about some related examples on wave equations. Okay, so today we are going to discuss about the one-dimensional heat equation. So, and this is my second lecture on partial differential equation and series solution of ordinary differential equation. That means of module 4. So here is the content of today's lecture. So first we will discuss about introduction of one-dimensional heat equations. Okay, and after that we will talk about the solution of heat equation of partial differential equation. Okay, so the heat equation is also the partial differential equation. And after that we will study on some related examples on one-dimensional heat equations. Okay, so let's move on the next slide. So here is the details of one-dimensional heat equations, or the derivation of one-dimensional heat equations, or the definition of the one-dimensional heat equation. So we simplify our heat diffusion modeling by considering the specific case of heat flowing in a long thin bar or wire. So where the cross section is very small and it is constant and insulated in such a way that the heat flow is just along the length of the bar or wire. Okay. So the heat equation is only actually the specific case of the flowing of a long thin bar or wire, and the cross section is a very small and constant. Okay. So in this slightly constrained situation, we can model the heat flow by keeping track of the temperature at any point along the bar using just one partial dimensions, measuring the position along the bar. So this means that the function u, so u is the function of x comma t, and x is a, and t is a temperature of the any point along the bar. Okay, for that keeps track of the temperature and just depend on x, and the position along the bar and t be the time. So that the heat equation from the previous section is called one-dimensional heat equation, and it is written as del u del t is equal to c square into del t u del x square. square. Okay, and this equation number 1 we can write. So this equation is called a heat equation, where u is the function of x comma t, and t, you know, it is the temperature, and x is, and which is depend on x. Okay. So therefore, one of the interesting thing to note that this point is how similar this partial differential equation appears to the wave equations. That means wave partial differential equation. Okay. So however, the resulting solution functions are remarkably, so the resulting solution functions are different in nature. Okay. So remember that the solution of the wave equation had to do with the oscillation and dealing with vibrating string and all that. So you know, the solution of the wave equation had to do with the oscillation and dealing with the vibrating string also. Okay. So here the solution of the heat equation deal with the temperature flow only, not the oscillation. But in a wave equation, where the solution had to do with the oscillation and dealing with the vibrating string also. But in a heat equation, it is deal with the temperature flow, not the oscillation. Okay, this is the difference between one-dimensional wave equation and the one-dimensional heat equations. So that means the solution function will luckily look quite different. Okay, so in that section, you know, the solution is quite different, and you know, this solution of heat equation, and it is deal with the temperature flow. Okay, so that their solution is also different. If you are familiar with the solution of Newton's heating and cooling differential equation, so you know, this is the two equations of Newton's, and these equations are the heating and cooling equation. Okay, this is also the differential equation. So then you might expect to see more types of exponential decay function as part of this solution function. So before we start to solve this equation, let's mention a few more conditions that we will need to know to nail down the specific solutions. Okay. So you know, in a heat equation, where the heat equation where the general solution is del u del t is equal to c square into del 2u del x square. Okay, and there are some initial conditions are here, and you know, there are some initial conditions. If the metal bar that we are studying has a specific length, say L, and in that case where the metal bar length is L, and then we need to know the temperature at the end of the bar. Okay. The length of this metal is L, and we are going to find the temperature at the end of the bar. So this temperature will give us boundary conditions similar to the ones we worked with for the wave equation. So I have already discussed in the wave equation where the metal bar is also with the specific length, say L, and whose boundary conditions are similar as the heat equations also. Okay, I have already found the one-dimensional wave equation. Okay, so with the boundary conditions. So to make life a bit simpler for us, we solve the heat equations. Let's start with the case when the end point of the bar at x is equal to 0 and x is equal to L. So initially the value of x is 0, and after the specific length, and here the length is L, so the end point are x is equal to 0 and x is equal to L, and both have temperature equal to 0 for all time. So initial temperature is 0 and the final temperature is also 0, but the length of the metal bar is L. Thus we will be working with the same boundary condition as before, namely u of 0 comma t and u of L comma t is equal to 0 for all values of t. So this is the initial condition as well the wave equation. Okay, and in a heat equation the boundary condition are same. So u of 0 comma t is equal and u of L comma t is equal to 0. Okay, for all values of t. So therefore finally we pick out the particular solution, and we also need to know the initial starting temperature of the entire part. So namely, we need to know the functions u of x comma 0. Okay, so interestingly, the initial conditions of the one-dimensional heat equations are u of x comma 0 and ut of x comma 0. So we had ut of x comma 0 is the first order differentiation at x comma 0 point. Okay, where the value are x and t is equal to 0 in that case. So therefore, we have already solved the partial differential equation, and we can try to follow the same basic approaches as the one we used to solve the last partial differential equations, namely separation of variables. So I have already discussed in the separation of variables method and how to solve the partial differential equation or the wave equation from the separation of variables. So in that case, let's by writing u of x comma t is equal to f of x and g of t. Say this is the solution of a one-dimensional heat equations. Okay, where f and g are the single variable functions. So we had f is a function of x and g is a function of t. Okay, so therefore the differentiating this equation for u of x comma t with respect to each variables, yet and the one-dimensional heat equation, it is actually del u del t is equal to c square into del t u del x square. Okay, so from this we will get the second order differentiation with respect to x, and it will be f double dash x into g of t. So g of t is a single valued function, and as well as f of x is a single valued function. So therefore the partial differentiation with respect to x, it is actually f double dash x into g of t. And as well as the first order differential equation with respect to t, this is the partial differential equation, and f of x is a fixed in that case, and the derivative of g with respect to t is g dash t, and we can write it equation number 4. Okay, so when we substitute these two equations back into the original heat equation, so this is the heat equation, del u del t is equal to c square into del t u del x square. Okay, so after putting the value of this del t u del x square and del u del t, and from this we will get fx into g dash t is equal to c square into f double dash x into g of t, and we can write it equation number 6. Okay, so if we now separate the two functions f and g by dividing through both sides, then we get, so this is the function of t only, and this one is the right hand side is the function of x only. Okay, so g dash t by c square into g of t, this one is the left side, and f double dash x by f of x is the right side on equation 7, and we can write it equation number 7. So just as before, the left hand side only depend on the variable t, and the right hand side just depend on the variable x. As a result, to have these two be equal can only mean one thing, that they are equal to the same constant, say k. So these two parts are equal, so we can write it a constant, say, and this is equals to say k, and the left hand side is a function of t as well as the right hand side is a function of x. So therefore we can write it a some constant, and it is equals to say k. So as before, let's first take a look at the implications for f of x as the boundary conditions. We'll again limit the possible solution function. Okay, so from the equation 8 we get f of x has to satisfy f double dash x minus k into f of x is equal to 0. Okay, and this is equation number 9. Say, so just as before, one can consider the various cases with k being positive. Okay, so in that case, this is the second order differential equation, and the solution of this differential equation is depend on k. So k being either positive, 0 or negative. So let's assume we have figured out that k must be negative, and we can write that k is equal to minus omega square. So when k is a negative value, then the solution is more stable than the other two. That means when omega k is equal to 0, there is a solution also, and when k is a positive, then there is also another solution. Okay, so and this solution is different, and when k is negative, then from this we will get a solution. Okay, so there are three possibilities. That means there are three possible solutions for this differential equation. That means equation number 9. But when k is equal to minus omega square, that means k be negative, then the solution is more stable than the other two solutions. Okay, so here we take k must be negative, so we can write it k is equal to minus omega square. Okay, so from equation 9 we get f double dash x plus omega square into f of x is equal to 0. Okay, and this is the second order differential equation of the function f of x, and we can write it equation number 10. Now we can apply the d operator method of this second order differential equation, and you have already known the solution of a second order differential equation. Okay, how to solve the second order differential equation by d operator method. So first of all, we will find the complementary function. Okay, so you know the complementary function is m square plus omega square is equal to 0. That means m is equal to plus minus I into omega. So therefore the complementary function of this differential equation, that means equation 10, and it will be a into cos omega x plus b into sin omega x. But the particular integral, the right side of this equation is 0, that means the particular integral is 0. You know that. Okay, so therefore the general solution of this equation is complementary function plus particular integral, where particular integral is 0. Therefore the complementary function is the solution of the given differential equation. So the general solution of equation 10, and it is actually fx is equal to a cos omega x plus b sin omega x, and we can write it equation number 11. And where a and b are the constant. Okay, next let's consider the boundary condition u of 0 comma t and u of l comma t is equal to 0. So you know at x is equal to 0 and at x is equal to t, and the initial condition, that means that at the end point and at the beginning the function u of x comma t is 0 for all values of t. So these are the equivalent to starting that f of 0 is equal to f of l is equal to 0. You know at x is equal to 0 and at x is equal to l, the functional value is 0. So now substituting x is equal to 0 in equation 11, and we get from this equation f of 0 is equal to, so you know a into cos of 0 plus b into sin of 0, and you know sin 0 is 0, so from this we will get a is equal to 0 and cos 0 is 1. So that fx is equal to b into sin omega x, where a is equal to 0, and from this equation we get this one. Okay, so this we can write it equation number 12. Next consider fl is equal to b sin omega l, and it is equals to 0 also. So these two are the initial conditions, you know. So f of 0 is equal to 0, and if we put f 0 is equal to 0, then from equation 11 we will get a is equal to 0, and from this we will get fx is equal to b sin omega x. Okay, and after putting the value of x is equal to l, and you know f of l is also 0, so from equation 12, and we will get b of sin omega l is equal to 0. Okay, so as before we check that b cannot be equals to 0, a b are the constant term. Okay, so a b is not equals to 0. So therefore fx is equal to 0, sin omega l is equal to 0, otherwise fx is equal to 0. So which would then mean that, and which mean that u of x comma t is equal to f of x into g of t, and this is equals to, and you know f of x is equal to 0 in that case, so 0 into g of t is equal to 0. So that, and this solution is a trivial solution, you know, and with b not equals to 0, then it must be the case that sin omega l is equal to 0. So there are two possibilities, either b is equal to 0 or sin omega l is equal to 0, and if b is equal to 0, so in that case, you know, u of x comma t is equal to 0. So where f of x is equal to 0, you know. And this solution is a trivial solution. So it is not possible the u of x t is equal to 0. So that means b is not equal to 0 in that case. So when b is not equal to 0, then from the above equation we will get sin omega l is equal to 0. Okay. In order to have b sin omega l is equal to 0. So in this equation, when b is not equal to 0, that means sin omega l is equal to 0. Again, the only way that this can happen is for omega l be a multiple of pi. See, you know, sin omega l is equal to 0, and from this we will get omega l is equal to n pi, where n be any integer. Okay. So this means that omega l is equal to n pi. That means omega is equal to n pi by l, where n be any positive integer. Okay. Or n be where n be any integer, positive or negative. And we can write it equation number 13. And so fx is equal to sin n pi by l into x, where n be any integer. And we can write it equation number 14. Okay. So next we solve for g of t, and this is the solution of the function f of x. And after that we are going to solve for the function g of t. And you know that this is the general solution, f of u of x comma t is equal to fx into g of t. And I have already found this one, f of x, and f of x is equal to sin n pi by l into x. Okay. So using the equation 8 again, so rewrite equation number 8, and we see that g dash t minus lambda n square into g of t is equal to 0. And we can write it equation number 15. So where lambda n is equal to c n pi by l. Okay. So and since we had originally written k is equal to minus omega square in that case, so we just determined that omega is equal to n pi by l during the solution of f of x. I have already found this one. Okay, omega is equal to n pi by l during the solution of f of x. So after that, the general solution of this first order differential equation is just g of t is equal to c into e to the power minus lambda x square into t. This is the general solution of equation 15. Okay, or the solution of g of t. So now we can put it all together to find out the general solution of u of x comma t, and this is equals to f of x into g of t, and f of x and g of t of both solution are already found. Okay, so after putting the value of fx and g of t, that means the solution of fx and g of t will get the required solution, and this is equals to c into sin n pi by l into x e to the power minus lambda n square into t, and we can write it equation number 17. Okay, so here n is any integer, this is either positive or negative, and c is a arbitrary constant, and lambda is equal to, you know, c n pi by l. And so this is the solution of the differential equation, given differential equation, that is one dimensional 8 equations. Okay, and you should check to see that this indeed is a solution to the original heat equations, and that is satisfied the two boundary conditions we started with. Okay, so in that case, and this one is the original solution of the heat equation, and it satisfies the two boundary conditions we started with. And applying this derivation of one dimensional heat equation, we will take an example on that. Find a solution of the following partial differential equation: del u del t is equal to k into del 2u del x square. Okay, this is, you know, this is the one dimensional heat equations. So where the initial conditions are u of x comma 0 is equal to f of x, del u del x of 0 comma t is equal to 0, and del u del x of l comma t is equal to 0. So these are the initial conditions of the given partial differential equation. So here is the solution of the given equation. So we applied the separation of variables in the above equations. So after assuming that our solution is in the form, you know, I will take this one, okay, where u of x comma t is equal to phi x into g of t, or you can take it u of x is equal to f of x into g of t. Okay, these are the variables, so you can take any one of these two. So in that case I will take this one, phi of x. Okay, and applying separation of variable, we get the following two ordinary differential equation, and that we need to solve. So you know, from the given partial differential equation, we get dg dt is equal to, so you know, if we differentiate it this equation, that means du of x comma t with respect to t, will get phi of x into g dash t, and if we differentiate it with respect to x, that means del v u del x square, with the second order differentiation, we will get phi double dash x into g of t. Okay, and after putting the value of del u del t and del 2 u del x square on the given differential equation, and we will get phi x into g dash t is equal to k into phi double dash x into g of t, and after separating the variables we will get g dash t by g into k is equal to phi double dash x by phi of x. Okay, and you know the left hand side of this equation is a function of t only, and the right hand side, you know, the function of x only. Okay, so therefore from this equation we will get it is equals to lambda. Okay, so from this equation we will get dg dt is equal to minus k into lambda into g, and the second the right hand side it will be d2 phi dx2 plus lambda into phi is equal to 0, where the initial conditions are d phi dx of 0 is equal to 0 and d phi dx of l is equal to 0. These are the initial conditions of the heat equation, you know that. Okay, so now we need to solve the following two differential equations, first order and second order. Okay, with the initial conditions. So you know, these solutions are depend on the nature of k. So let's get going on the three cases we have got to work for this problem. First of all, we will get lambda is greater than 0. So there are three different solutions of the given differential equation, you know, phi of, that means the phi of x. So phi of x is the second order differential equation in that case, and the solution are depend on the value of lambda, and here either lambda is greater than 0 or lambda is less than 0 or lambda is equals to 0, and the for the different value of lambda the solution are the different. Okay, so when lambda is greater than 0, then the solution to the differential equation is phi of x is equal to c1 into cos root lambda into x plus c2 into sin root lambda x. So in that case, where the auxiliary equation is m square plus lambda is equal to 0, that means the roots are the imaginary. Okay, so in the, therefore the solution of the given differential equation, that means phi double dash x plus lambda into phi of x is equal to 0. So therefore the solution is actually c1 cos root lambda into x plus c2 sin root lambda x. So now applying the first boundary conditions, and it will give 0 is equal to d phi dx of 0, and from this we will get root over of lambda into c2 is equal to 0, that means c2 is equal to 0. Okay, so after differentiating it with respect to x and putting the value of x is equal to 0, we will get this one. And in the second boundary condition, you know that d phi dx at x is equal to l, and it is also 0. So again we differentiate this equation with respect to x, and after putting the value of x is equal to l, and we will get minus root lambda into c1 sin l into root lambda. Okay, so recall that lambda is greater than 0, and from this we will get the only non-trivial solution if we regard that sin l root lambda is equal to 0. Okay, so this one is equals to 0, so but c1 is not equals to 0, and if c1 is equal to 0, then the from the given equation we will get the trivial solution, that means the trivial solution of phi. So therefore here c1 is not equals to 0, so that means sin l root lambda is equal to 0. and from this we will get L root lambda is equal to n pi, where n is equal to 1, 2, 3 and up to infinity. Okay. So from this equation we will get the value of lambda. So what is the value of lambda? And lambda, you know, this is the positive eigenvalue and their corresponding eigenfunctions of this boundary value problem are then lambda n is equal to pi n by L whole square. So our root lambda is equal to this, so therefore lambda n is equal to whole square. And this is the eigenvalue of the given function, and this is the eigenfunction phi of n is equal to cos of n pi x by L, where n is equal to 1, 2, 3 up to infinity. This is the solution of the given differential equation of phi. Okay. So after that we will take lambda is equal to 0. So in that case the general solution of phi, and it will be c1 plus c2 into x, you know that. And applying the first boundary conditions, and you know this is the first boundary condition, d phi dx of 0 is equal to 0, and from this we will get c2 is equal to 0. That means the general solution, and it is equals to phi x is equal to c1. Okay, where c2 is equal to 0. And note that this will trivially satisfy the second boundary condition. Why? The solution is c, so if we put the boundary condition, it will be remain same. Okay. So therefore, when lambda is equal to 0 and lambda is equal to 0 is the eigenvalue for this boundary value problem, and the eigenfunction corresponding to this eigenvalue is phi of x is equal to 1. You know c1 is constant. And this is the eigenfunction corresponding to the eigenvalue lambda is equal to 0. And after that we are going to solve the differential equation of phi when lambda is less than 0. So the general solution of the given differential equation of lambda, and it will be c1 cos hyperbolic root lambda minus lambda of x plus c2 into sin hyperbolic root over of minus lambda into x. This is the solution when lambda is less than 0. And applying the first boundary conditions, and it will give 0 is equal to d phi dx of 0, and you know this is the boundary condition, and from this we will get c is equal to 0. Okay. And similarly the second boundary condition, and it will give 0 is equal to d phi dx of a, so at x is equal to L, and it will be also 0. And from this equation, that means the general solution, we will get minus root over of minus lambda into c1 of sin hyperbolic of L root over of minus lambda. And you know that the L into root over of minus lambda is not equal to 0. So therefore sin hyperbolic of L into root over of minus lambda is not equal to 0. Okay. So from this we will get c1 is equal to 0. So its boundary value problem will have no negative eigenvalues. So the complete list of the eigenvalues and the eigenfunction for this problem is lambda n is equal to n pi by L whole square, and the corresponding eigenfunction, and it will be lambda n x is equal to cos of n pi x by L, where n is equal to 1, 2, 3 up to infinity. And these are the solutions of a phi functions when lambda is greater than 0. And similarly the eigenvalue is 0 at when lambda is equal to 0, then the eigenfunction it will be constant and is equals to 1. So notice that we get the lambda 0 is equal to 0 eigenvalue and its eigenfunction if we allow n is equal to 0 in the first set, and so we will use the following as our set of eigenvalues and the eigenfunctions. So therefore in that case we will take a eigenvalue, and it will be lambda n is equal to n pi by L whole square, and the corresponding eigenfunction it will be lambda n x is equal to cos n pi x by L, where n is equal to 1, 2, 3 and up to infinity. And this is the solution corresponding to the differential equation phi double dash x plus lambda into phi x is equal to 0. Okay, and this is the most suitable solution for the differential equation, that means when lambda is greater than 0. So after that the time problem here is identical to the first problem we looked at. So gt is equal to c into e to the power minus k into this one is lambda into t, that means n pi by L whole square into t. This is the solution of g of t. Okay, so g of t is the equation, first order differential equation, and you know this is in a first order differential equation the solution is type, the solution is as type e to the power, the exponential function. Okay, so this is the solution of the second equation, that means g of t is equal to e to the power c into, first is a constant, e to the power minus k into lambda n whole square into t. So lambda n is equal to n pi by L whole square into t. So our product solution will then be u n of x comma t is equal to a, and a be any constant, you know, cos of n by x by L into e to the power minus k into n pi by L whole square into t, and where n is equal to 1 to 3 or up to infinity. So this is the general solution of the given heat equations. Okay, first one dimensional heat equations. So the solution of the partial differential equation is u of x comma t is equal to summation of r I is equal to 0 to infinity n into cos n pi x by L into e to the power minus k into n pi by L whole square into t. Okay, this is the general solution of the partial differential equation. And if we apply the initial condition to this, we get u of x comma 0, and you know this is the function u of x comma 0 is equal to fx. Okay, and if we put t is equal to 0, so the second part of a summation is equals to 1. So therefore fx is equal to summation of r I is equal to 0 to infinity n into cos n pi x by a. Okay, so this is the solution. This is or the initial conditions of the function e of x comma t. So at t is equal to 0, we get fx is equal to this, and we can see that this is nothing more than the Fourier cosine series for the function fx, and where you know x is lies in the interval 0 to a, and t is variable, and at x is equal to 0 and x is equal to t, the functions are 0. And so again we could use the orthogonality of the cosines to derive the coefficient we have. This is the coefficient of the recurrent series, that means the solution of the heat equations. Okay, and n is equal to, and these are to the Fourier cosine series actually. So 1 by L into 0 to L fx dx when n is equal to 0, and 2 by L into integration of 0 to L fx into cos n pi by L into dx. Okay, so this is the solution of the given heat equations on partial differential equations. Thank you.